Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. This is Brennan Lee. I have a website, thebrennanlee.com. You're invited to visit. I'm in support of consciousness and skill worldwide, which is founded by Peter Rawlinson. Welcome back. In this video, I want to talk to you about stuff that you do that you don't like what you do, or things that aspects of yourself that there's willful aspects of yourself, and then there's automatic shit that you do, and then how to relate to some of that stuff is essentially what I'm going to be talking about. This question comes from Eugenio. Again, thanks for the question. And from my understanding, the essence of the question is he's basically outlining in the thought and the question so far is like, well, I'm noticing my contemplations. There are some things that I do that I can stop doing them. It's like I do them, I can stop doing them, and there's that aspect of experience where I'm a person. I have certain thoughts, actions, perspectives, maybe feelings and things that seem more willful. And then he's mentioning that seems to be this other aspect, stuff that just seems to happen automatically. And it does not look like I have any part in doing those things. And the question is something like, well, how do I relate to those effectively? So in this video, that's what I want to talk about. Now, the first aspect where I have things that I seem to be under my direct control or my will or what have you, I can do them or not do them. We don't usually have a problem with this because if it's something that you can do and not do, well, then you definitely have the power of choice in that matter. And who cares? Because if you don't like it, you just stop doing it. And it's like if you put your hand in hot water, you don't like it, you take your hand out. Okay, you want the hot water, you put your hand back in, no problem. And then there's this other stuff that it doesn't look like it's something that I do. Because it just say for example, one example we use in workshops is like if Bob walks in a room and Bob's an asshole walks in the room and that's boom, automatically there's an asshole. And it looks like the asshole is over there. And yet, with some careful consideration and some white lights and rubber hoses, as we joke sometimes, is you can recognize that they are not an asshole. That's something that you're actually doing. And then if you can get that, then perhaps you could stop doing it. But this domain, so then the question is something, well, how do I relate to it effectively? Well, first of all, you may not even recognize that this is a domain. So the first thing to do would be to grasp that there is stuff that seems to happen. And it's very automatic, like reactions. Now, most of the time, from what I can tell, the way most people relate to these automatic things, like say, for example, if somebody yells at me and then I get angry, it looks to me like the standard way of relating to this is, you made me feel angry. You made me feel angry. But if we consider further, is that true? Like, did they actually make you angry? Or is it just something that you have so automatic, so ingrained, and so fast that they arise almost together, such that you would say, you made me angry. Now, that's one aspect. And that, I think, is the standard, like how people relate to that stuff. They blame external circumstances for how they feel. Now, because they're not in touch with where they're creating the feelings. And say, well, it really does look that way, Brendan. They really do make me angry. Yeah? Well, who's the one being angry? Who's experiencing the anger? You are. And where is that anger? Well, it's in my experience. And I go, yeah, well, where? Well, it's in me. Yeah, where is that? Well, as I continue to press, it's in your experience. And it's like, oh, it's in my head. And where do you feel the anger? In my chest. And what do you want to do about it? I want to take action and hurt something or feel capable again, right? That's all sort of part of the anger. And where does that exist in your experience? Does it exist in somebody else's experience? No. And yet it still looks like somebody else causes that anger, doesn't it? So then the first thing to acknowledge, like if, going back to the question, you're like, well, how do I relate to it effectively? Well, effectiveness is totally relative. I should have said this at the beginning. It doesn't matter how you relate to it. You pick what effective is. If you want to be really effective at suffering and hurting yourself and not taking responsibility for your own experience, then an effective way to do that would be to blame other people for your problems and then go about your day. That would be effective for that. Now, if you want freedom from that, what I previously stated is no longer effective. Something new would be effective. Likely, you would want to grasp what's going on such that you're angry in the first place. And it may start with grasping, so then effectiveness in this case is now being determined by, am I free of this anger or not? I'm using anger as an example, but an automatic, reactive state of mind that is angry. But it could be anything that you do automatically. This is the stuff that we're not in touch with where we're doing it. Why? Well, because we've done it so much, and it's so automatic that it's like on a hair trigger. Somebody does something and you go, anger. And you also recognize an inability to control it. Save from it happens and you squish it down, we call that suppression. Or it happens and then you act it out and you have to be angry at people. Right? Usually we only have those two options. Suppression or acting it out. All right? So now in terms of freedom, here are some things that are effective in relationship to these automatic mind functions that you do. Very automatic stuff. One, recognize that there's something going on automatically in your experience. How do you do that? You can question, what do I do automatically? What is the stuff that I do? It's automatic. Or what is the stuff that arises in my experience? Because when we look at it, all right, here's one thing I want to clear up before I get too going is you may have read some books. And you may be like, okay, I'm sort of spiritual or I'm into personal growth or whatever. And then somebody says, well, you need to take ownership of your experience. And so you hear tell that everything that you have in your experience is something you do. And you may know that intellectually. But that still doesn't do squat when it comes to you being able to stop it. So then you must acknowledge that even though you say, I know it's something I'm doing, if you can't stop doing it and it arises like it's caused, then you are not in touch with the place where you're doing it. You have to acknowledge that. I would invite you to acknowledge that. You don't have to. But in terms of getting free and relating to it effectively, this I would recommend. Acknowledge that you don't experience it as something you're doing. You experience it as something that falls on your ass, as we say, or happens to you, or happens automatically, but you can't to say that it is something that you do when you don't experience it to be the case is a lie. Until it is true that you are actually doing it, you aren't doing it. Do you see? Experientially. It would behoove you to acknowledge that aspect, right? So one, get that. Hello, what's in your experience? Not what do you think is in your experience, not what has somebody told you is in your experience, but what's actually in your experience about that. And acknowledge whatever's there, because you have to start with what's there, okay? So once you start with what's there, you start to acknowledge, okay, I have an internal experience. One, notice if you're blaming other people for that. If you are, you can set the blame aside and or recognize the blame as the activity that it is something, again, that you're doing. You're blaming somebody else for your problems. Goody. There you go. There's some blame. That still doesn't change the problem, does it? Okay? Good. Blame. There's something I do. Good. Now, what's the problem? Okay, I get angry. Now the question, going back to the question, how do I relate to it effectively? Acting it out, well, that doesn't really work because the anger comes, you get angry, you break something, and then does it solve the anger problem? Again, I'm hammering on this one example. Please don't get stuck on this one example. This could be broad spectrum, many different examples. It could be anger, it could be annoyance, it could be lust, it could be ignorance, it could be many different domains, all right? So don't just get stuck on the one example. I'm just using that because it's easy, okay? Anger, boom, you suppress it. The first one, act it out. But then the same thing happens, you get angry again. So the acting out it's not effective. Suppressing it, well, that really works. And by really works, I mean really doesn't work. Why? Why do I say it doesn't work? Well, it's not very healthy. I'm angry. I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. Bullshit. No, you're not. You're going to go home, kick your cat or whatever, or your dog, or it's going to... If you suppress those kinds of automatic reactive emotions, it'll pop out somewhere else. If you don't believe me, just go ahead and try it, and then you'll come back and figure that out. Okay, cool. So there's one aspect. So you can suppress it. You can act it out, right? You can suppress it. There's a third option. This helps bring us down the road toward more effectiveness, and effectiveness in this case is determined by, is it empowering, is it working toward freedom, is it increasing vitality? Like this is what I'm talking about in the domain of effectiveness in relationship to these unwanted automatic aspects of mind. There's a third option, is to fully feel and accept the experience as is. That's the starting point. Now, right? Accept yourself the way you are. Accept everything that's going on with you the way that it is, good or bad. Why would I say this? Well, Brendan, I want to change. I want to change it, and the reason I want to change it is because, like, I can't accept it the way that it is. Bullshit. Yeah, you can. Just shut up and do it. Yeah? Oh, but I resist it. Okay, then actively resist it. Join the resistance and let it go. Stop resisting. But you can do that by joining with it. Let it be there. Powerfully let it be there. Why? Why would I say that? Because if you don't let it be there, you're going to push it away and ignore it, and you won't be able to grasp what it is. You will be looking somewhere else. And this other place that you say you want to be, okay, I don't want that. For example, this is the unwanted stuff. There's a bunch of stuff you do automatically that you want. So why would you go down that road? You see, but you could also challenge that stuff too, just FYI. See, the unwanted stuff, you let it be there. But then you say, well, I don't want it to be there, so I'm going to fight against it. The problem is, the desire to fight and the automatic mind themselves are coming from the same place. They're not coming from some separate place. And who's going to win that? I'm sure I've mentioned this in another video, probably in a bottom line contemplation video. It's a fight, but it's you fighting you. How's that going to work? Someone's going to lose, and it's going to be you. You see how that works? And... okay, so then back to the question. Relating to it effectively starts with acceptance, letting it be. And then grasp what it is. Grasp what's going on, right? Now, this trap, back to the trap where you have something automatic in your experience. You say, okay, get what's going on. And you say, oh, it's something I'm doing. I just can't stop doing it. Okay. And or you heard from a book, it's something you're doing. But if you don't experience it as such, acknowledge that and get what's going on. Because if you can't stop doing it, there's something missing. If you can't stop having that arise in your experience, there's something missing. Now, if you're so locked into blaming other people for what you experience, and you're watching this video, I, one, would be very surprised, first of all. And two, if your reality is in fact, like if you're listening to this video and I tell you, or I invite you to consider, like, hey, your reality, like if something happens for you and it's somebody else's fault and you're like, oh yeah, Brendan, that's completely true. It is their fault. Then you will not get what I'm talking about in this video. And I would be really surprised that you'd be watching the video in the first place, because who the fuck cares? Now, if you are watching the video and you can get over yourself enough to stop blaming other people for your internal experience, then you will start to reveal that you do have an internal experience and that there's stuff that goes on. It's incredibly automatic and incredibly powerful. And you can start, if you let it be there, then you can start to look at it. You can start to investigate it. You can start to go, whoa, there's some stuff. Holy shit, it really looks like it's caused by somebody else. They do something, an asshole walks in the room, I get angry. Wow, I'm fast. What's going on there? What's really going on? Because the anger doesn't arise all by itself. The interpretation of the asshole and your reaction to it are both generated by you. But it doesn't look that way. It just looks like they walk in and something occurs. But you can't have that something occur without as if something backing it up and or you're relating what you interpret to something unknown to you right now, and such that something unknown is informing your actions. So it would behoove you then, again, relating to this. Okay, I think I've answered your question. It's like, how do I relate to it effectively? Let it be there. That's the first thing. Now, if you want to get what it is, that's a whole nother relationship. Now we're working on contemplation. But in terms of relating to it effectively, just decide what's best for you to relate to it. And then do that, and then you'll be effective. Now, if you want to be effective at dropping it, which I assume is why you would want to ask the question in the first place and why you might be watching the video, I want to get free from this shit that I don't like. Who doesn't? Yeah, okay? Then get what it is. Get what's really going on. And what way are you such that the anger is appropriate? Because maybe an asshole walks in a room, not everybody gets angry. One person gets angry, maybe somebody else is like happy. Oh, the asshole, I'm so happy to see you. And other people are afraid of the asshole. And other people, so how come, if they indeed cause anger, then the reaction should be the same for everybody. But it's not. So something's going on here. What is that? So entering into a contemplation about the matter, grasping what's going on, because it may be true in your investigations. And again, you need to figure this out for yourself. I can't do it for you. No video is going to help you. No teacher talking is going to help you. No book's going to help you do it. Only you can help you do it. It may be true that the anger is not necessary. But until you find that out, you're stuck with the automaticness, aren't you? So it's best just to love it and let it be. Okay, great. I am angry. And if you're angry, FYI, it is useful to get that you're actually hurt. Okay? Because anger doesn't arise without pain. And so you're in pain about something. That would be the first place to start. And then you can enter into like what we call bottom line contemplation, which, hey, you could come to some workshops and we do that. Shameless plug. Come to a workshop, huh? It's way more powerful than watching videos. You can do bottom line contemplation and help you get free of it by letting it be, questioning it, grasping its nature, and then ultimately letting it go. But you can't let it go, really, until you know what it is. Or you can't let go of anything that you don't know what it is. All right? So Eugenio, thank you for the question, or questions. In terms of effectiveness, it's balls in your court. You know, you can do whatever the fuck you want with your life, okay? That's pretty much how that goes. Otherwise, if you want freedom, reference the videos. But enjoy. Much love. This is Brennan Lee. I have a website. It's thebrennanlee.com. If you want to get serious, check the links in the description. If you're less serious, I have a free course. If you want to be more serious, buy a course. If you want to get even more serious than that, hey, come to a workshop. That's serious. And then if you want to go crazy with being serious, be an apprentice. We'll kick your ass in the right ways. Okay? So much love. This is Brennan Lee with thebrennanlee.com in support of Consciousness and Skill Worldwide, founded by Peter Ralston. Till next time, keep up the good work. Catch you guys later.